Jungle.
Hey everyone, I'm Justin Reber, and we're going to be checking out this 2010 Dodge Challenger 3.5 liter V6. So this vehicle actually belongs to a friend of mine. He came to me the other day and was describing a horrendous vibration when he's accelerating. So to my suspicion, I believe we got something going on with the drive shaft. On a vehicle like this, it's a rear-wheel drive, two-piece drive shaft with a center support bearing in the middle. And these Dodge and Chryslers, they utilize a what's called a rubber coupling in between the transmission and the drive shaft, and also in between the drive shaft and the rear end. So that could also be a factor. I believe it's going to be one of three things. We could either have a bad universal joint, which is also commonly called a U-joint. We could have a bad center support bearing, or a bad rubber coupling. So this vehicle does have two rubber couplings, one at the transmission side and one at the rear differential side. So let's go ahead and take a peek, see what we got going on there, and hopefully it's something cheap and easy. Because
it's bad. It's so bad. What the?
Alright, so taking a closer look, it looks like the front portion of the drive shaft is actually okay. A little bit of cracking around the coupler, but I think it's fine. Alright, looking at the center support bearing back there, visually it looks okay. You can tell there's some witness marks where this thing's been flopping around a little bit. I don't see or hear any kind of crazy play in the U-joints. Feels like there's some play there, but I can't tell. Probably want to replace it just to be safe with how hellacious, let me just emphasize that, this vibration was. And come back to here, we can see some marks on the drive shaft here, and oh my god, what is that? What is going on here? As you can see here, we are missing a bolt up there. Looks like this drive shaft has been spinning all the way through the coupler, these bolts here, and smacking each other. Heat shield taking a little bit of a beating, but everything looks okay. I think we might get away with just a coupler and some bolts. I'm going to try that first, and if it has any kind of vibration or anything whatsoever, I think I'll go ahead and take the entire drive shaft out and replace that center support. It seems okay right now, but it's going to need basically, all 6 bolts and nuts and washers. So, to be continued.
So with that consideration,
right.
you know, I'll go down.
You still do it.
Park that $700.
Look at this. Look at that.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at this. You know, when I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, "Would you look at this?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Listen, I got pulled over in Jersey twice for not wearing a seatbelt in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
In the passenger seat,
really?
and got a $40 ticket.
Yeah,
I said, "Would you look at this?
The way they got
Would
that
you
tax
look at
base
this?
to generate-
Would you look at it?" I was so mad.
Basically, they got to earn their money the old-fashioned way.
Whenever a cop writes you out a ticket, the first thing you do is you take the ticket and you say, would you look at this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if I'd have done that, the cop did it and I wasn't there that night.
Yeah, you should have said, look at this, and that would have probably got you off if you told him to look at it.
All right, so coupler came in. Took about 2 days to get it shipped to the dealer. I ended up going with an OEM part. I've always been partial to OEM parts on all my vehicles, so there is some things that I'll go aftermarket, some things that I'll go OEM, just depends on the situation. I went ahead and spent a little extra money and got the OEM part for this one. What you're gonna get the coupler. It comes in a kit, and it'll actually come with the 3 bolts on the drive shaft side. You will have to order the other 3 bolts and the nuts for the rear differential side of the coupler. It's just gonna come in a box like this. It's pretty straightforward. It's gonna come with the coupler inside. And it's also going to come with the bolt kit. The bolt kit in this one, it's going to have the bolts with the rounded edge on it. This is going to be the drive shaft side of the coupler. On this vehicle, we had some damage to the other bolts on the opposite side, on the rear differential side. So I had to actually buy the other bolts separately. There's 6 bolts total if you need to replace them all. So yeah, there's all the parts. Most important, if you guys are doing anything, any kind of repairs, always have your PPE, your personal protective equipment. Always have some proper eye protection and some cut resistant gloves. Really not ever worth any kind of harm to your body, so might as well just wear it. What you're gonna need here is a T60 Torx bit. I'm gonna go with the 1/2 inch with the universal socket. It allows me to get up in there in tight areas. If you don't have it, it's okay. It'll be a little bit more difficult, but it's not gonna kill you. So I'm gonna be going ahead and using the compressed air on this one. I have a 1/2 inch impact gun. We're also just gonna probably just need this pry bar or a really big screwdriver if you don't have a pry bar. We also have a 18mm wrench. Now this 18mm wrench should take care of all 6 of our nuts that we have here. So that's really all you're gonna need. And then we're just gonna be loosening the drive shaft from the coupler and then prying it off of there. We should be able to get enough play on it to remove it completely without having to undo the exhaust or anything like that. Let's get started. So what we want to do before we crawl under there is put this thing in neutral. That way we can spin the drive shaft as we take the bolts out. I got all the parts. I got my coupler. I got all my coupler bolts. And then I got the 3 coupler bolts that go from the rear differential side. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna go ahead and take apart these bolts. I went ahead and put it in neutral, so now I can actually spin it around as I need to. First thing we're gonna wanna do is mark this drive shaft, because these things are balanced. So we wanna make sure that we bolt this drive shaft up to the yoke in the exact fashion that came off. So I'm gonna mark a piece on the yoke itself, and then I'm gonna go ahead and mark a piece on the drive shaft. So I marked the 2 pieces to make sure that this goes back in the same fashion. Alright, so I got all the bolts out, and now we're going to try to use this pry bar. I'm going to try to pry this drive shaft back just a little bit. I should be able to get it to drop down. Alright. Alright, so that was a pain in the ass. I had to just maneuver this thing enough to be able to just get it out of the way. So I'm actually, with this out of the way, I can actually feel if that center support. I don't feel anything too crazy, so we might just get away with just replacing this destroyed coupler. You can see that before and after. that thing's destroyed. So this is what's gonna look like. You're gonna basically fit it right into those little holes. You can see right here, it actually fits into those little grooves. So as I said, remember the 3 bolts that I had to order separately were the ones with the flat heads on them. So as you can see, they have the flat edges. The ones that go on the drive shaft side have the rounded heads. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and stick these 3 bolts through the yokes, and then we're gonna put our 3 nuts on. This thing was flopping around so bad that it actually damaged a portion of the inside of the drive shaft here. So I'm not sure if that's what was hanging me up from coming out. It didn't seem like it, and hopefully this thing goes back in without any issues. You can also see some of the wear here on the ears of the drive shaft, like I was showing you before. There's quite a bit of metal taken out of these little ears. And bingo. You want to be careful when you do that. So you want to make sure that when you're prying on it and you're prying on the inside, make sure you're kind of prying on something metal, and make sure you're not gouging something like a mating surface. As you can see here, we're going to go ahead and just make sure our marks are lined up, which we are. We have our mark on our yoke, and we have our mark on our drive shaft. So we are aligned. We're almost there. What we're going to do is we're going to put our 3 bolts in, and we're going to pray that I don't have to do anything else to this car. Because I always like saving my friends, my family, and any of my customers money. And do remember, these nuts are one-sided. So you're going to notice these nuts actually have a rounded edge on them and then a flat edge. You want to make sure that that rounded edge is on the outside of the bolt. Alright, and you can see those sleeves actually sunk right into their little recessed little spots there. So, I'm going to spin this around and get this one. And as you can see, we were able to do this entire thing without removing any of the exhaust. It can be done. You just want to make sure that when you're kind of prying the drive shaft out of the way, that you are not prying on the coupler itself and tearing your brand new coupler that you just put on. That's a big no-no. As you can see here, everything is done. We got all new bolts. We got the new bolts on the drive shaft side of the coupler, and we also have the new bolts for the yoke side. This thing should be good. I'm sitting here, I'm moving it around, I'm flexing the drive shaft. I really don't feel any play or anything. He might be good out the door at 220 bucks. Let's go take it for a spin. Well, that about wraps it up. This thing is feels like brand new. So I hope my buddy's happy. Saved him some money.